This presentation is a musical comparative between Celtic fiddle and traditional bluegrass music by Liam Callum and David Kona. Bluegrass music originated in the southern United States, Kentucky, in the southern Appalachian region. Bluegrass music became more predominant in the 1940s, but was created a near century ago. Traditional bluegrass music used the fiddle, banjo, guitar, stand-up bass, and mandolin as its primary instruments. Bluegrass music actually started in the 1800s, as settlers from the British Isles, mostly Protestant Scotch-Irish, had begun arriving in the mid-18th century. These people were the roots of the music. As the Civil War passed, the Yankees industrialized and got rich, while the folks up in the mountains, the British Isle settlers, kept to themselves and stayed poor. This is where bluegrass came into play as an outlet for emotional expression of the Appalachian people. Their bluegrass music drew upon the inspiration of the folk, country, and blues music. Traditional bluegrass players are purists, sticking to the roots of bluegrass playing, changing nothing from the original style.
The people who would later make up the Celtic tribes originated in Central Europe. They were nomadic people who traveled from Central Europe to the British Isles. Since the Celts were nomadic, they traveled light and in tight-knit communities. To end the night of their travels, they played songs passed down from generation to generation around the campfire, which began the tradition of passed-down folk songs. Celtic clans began to pop up over 2,700 years ago in the British Isles, in what is now Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. Many of the tunes composed during the ancient Celtic times were built from scales that contained no accidentals, which makes Celtic music harder to play on modern instruments that are built to support modern scales, such as the piano. Due to the lack of accidentals, some of these tunes were what we would consider today as minor, but were very happy tunes. Today we think of minor tunes as sad, but these Celtic tunes were happy and very upbeat. Most Celtic music was music of celebration, which meant that it was upbeat and often had a lilt to it for dancing. These upbeat jigs were great for the many inebriated people attending the celebrations.
The melodies of bluegrass music tended to consist of simple chord progressions, a common one being 1-4-5, which is a very common blues progression. The music was simple as they were folk songs that everyone could listen to and replicate at a party or celebration to join in with the band.
Musical scales used in Celtic music contain no accidentals, and some scales used were constructed of only 6 or 7 notes rather than the traditional 8. Even though some of the scales used in traditional Celtic music is what we would consider today as minor, they maintained a happy and celebratory feeling, which is contrary to the modern concept that minor is automatically sad.
Both the styles of music compared to each other have heady string within the music. Bluegrass is a derivative of Celtic music, originally from the settlers of Irish-Scotch origin that came to America. So, from the migration and 300 years span of disconnection, the music had developed into its own separate style of music. Celtic music, on the other hand, had stayed relatively the same. Now here are two pieces, one Celtic, one bluegrass. Please listen and compare. The similarities between two of the pieces was that syncopation and a swing style were present in both of them. Both the pieces had a guitar playing in the background as a drone, and both the pieces had a single main theme. And this one theme in question was variated, making the piece, both of them, a theme and variation style. The differences between these two pieces is that tempo changes were only present within the Celtic music, but not the bluegrass piece. The bluegrass music started with a forte and with power to the music, making the music feel like it was calling out to everyone to celebrate, while the Celtic music had started at piano, and then had a crescendo until the first variation began, and from that point kept the same dynamic. The style of the instruments were played differently between both the songs, but kept the same feeling of a playful feeling. The bluegrass music kept steady with eighth notes throughout the whole entire piece, but had a tendency to add slides in it to make it sound more playful, while the Celtic music depended on changes of articulation of the notes and length of the notes and the style that they were played, such as in a triplet style. This all culminated together with a few turns of notes amounted to the playfulness of this piece.